Hey everybody, it's Rachel with Rachel Cheese Stitches and welcome to my channel. Today is Tuesday, November 7th, 2021, and this is FlossTube number 42. If you are new here, thank you so much for joining me. I know I've had a couple of new subscribers from me doing my daily shorts during Flossmas, so I decided that on my Tuesdays I would just do a regular FlossTube and kind of combine the two together. Thanks for those of y'all that have been watching daily. I appreciate it. I knew I wanted to do something for Flossmas, but I did not want to do whole videos. And so I kind of did some research. There's another lady that I watch, and every now and then she'll do a short, and I just kind of looked into it and realized there's no limit to shorts that you can do. And so kind of last minute, Tuesday night, I decided to do those shorts. So I hope you've been enjoying them. I've kind of enjoyed making them and just updating everybody just a little bit of what I'm stitching on for the day. So anyway, so if you're here from that, thank you so much for being here. Welcome to my new subscribers. Welcome to my old subscribers. For the new people, if you're watching and you're not subscribed, go ahead and consider doing that for me. I would greatly appreciate it. So anyway, I think that's my intro that I normally do. If you hear my dogs barking, they are outside, and the neighbor across the 8-foot privacy fence is weeding his own yard, and my dogs do not appreciate that, and so they act like somebody's trying to break in. My husband thinks it's because it sounds like a snake, and one of them was bit by a snake, and he's not fond of them. But anyway, that's what he gets for playing with snakes. Anyway, so if you hear them barking, they are not killing each other. They are just after the weed eater over on the other side of the privacy fence. That's what they do. Anyway, so I hope everyone has been getting some stitching done. I know I have. I've worked on a couple of things. I've got some new plans that I plan on doing in the new year, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit. And I know I've been talking about my plans probably for the last 2 months, and you're probably saying, Rachel, just make a solid plan. And so anyway, if you've been here since the beginning, you know Rachel doesn't make solid plans. But anyway, so let's get to my stitching. So I, on the 1st, started my Erica Michaels. I am doing the ABC blocks that are free on Rainbow Gallery's website. They are called, just ABC blocks. I don't think they really have an official name. It's the sampler book. That's what it is. It's the sampler book. Anyway, I started the letter K. I did not get it finished because I started late, and then I just didn't, I don't know. This one just, I don't feel it. But this is it right here. I'm going to pick it up later today and stitch on it today and tomorrow, and hopefully get it done before the 15th. So I'm stitching these on the 5th and the 1st and the 15th. I start a new block, and my goal is to have them all done by June. So that is my K block. I am using, again, thrift store floss. I've been trying to match the colors that she suggests. So, you know, I just kind of go by the name of the color and choose it. But the border was super easy. So I don't know what, I don't know. I just wasn't feeling it that day. So that is my Erica Michaels block. And then today and last week, well, you know, this week. Anyway, I started stitching on the Home Sweet Home by the Bay Needle Arts. And this is a stitch along for the year. This block right here was released in November, and I am waiting on this one. It will be released on the 8th. And this is what block number 1 looks like right here. And I finished it. So if you'll remember, I had started the border. I had messed up the border. So I ripped the border out today, and then I restarted the border. I still have to work on this right here and this to feel like I could start that block. But anyway, but I finished block 1. So here's block 1. I am using all the called for DMCs. The sky is not charted, but the designer did stitch hers in a over-dyed floss in a half stitch. So I just used the same blue that was in my clouds, and I stitched it as a half stitch. And I do have to say I like it better with the sky. And so right here you'll see I started that center border. So that is it right there. Easy to follow chart. Of course it's big. It's a small, I mean this is on 18 count Ada oatmeal from Michael's. And so that the sky really made, I think, the clouds pop and everything. I couldn't see the clouds and I was like, you know, 5 inches from it. So I think the sky really makes the clouds come out. So that is that. And I didn't say my ABC blocks, I stitch those on 28 count even weave or linen, depending on what I have. I have some scraps that I inherited from my mom. And so that's what I'm doing them with. All right, I should say. Next up, Christmas garden. It was Blackbird Design Weekend, so I started working on this Friday. And sorry guys, my whole back just popped and I felt weird. But anyway, Christmas garden. I'm working on this with Key X Stitch. Just keep stitching. I think that's her new FlossTube name. She had to redo her YouTube channel, so I'm not sure. And also the Contented Stitcher, who finished hers, by the way, and it looks absolutely lovely. I am not sure if I'm going to put Christmas garden or not, even though I have stitched this. I'm not sure if I'm just going to rip it out and then just put the bottom border or what I'm going to do. So I thought about putting our last name, but as of now, I do not feel like charting it. So I worked on, hold on, let me get this. So if you watch my dailies, you'll know that this little guy had to be ripped out. Last FlossTube, I had him outlined. And I actually finished him and I was working on this border and I realized that his feet came down too much. And then that's when I realized I made him 2 rows too fat. So I had to rip him out. So anyway, that's what I spent most of my weekend, Blackbird Design Weekend, doing, is ripping out. So I did this right here, bottom border right here. And then I worked on some of this up here and I was able to come down. That was my goal, was to come down. Was to get all these top buds stitched and to work my way down, work my way across, which is why I had to come down to make sure I stopped. And then I stitched, hold up. I realized, as much as I like stitching on 28 count, because this is a 28 count mushroom Lagana, for these big Blackbird designs, I might need to go a little bit higher in my count. So I stitched those right there. And those are I'm using the DMC called conversion that they provide. And the blue, there's no blue in here. The tan, the green, and the reds are all blended. And right there, you can kind of see how the off-whites are blended. The green's a little bit harder to see, but the off-white really, really pops the blending. So that is what I got done. It won't be finished for Christmas, but it's not going to be called Christmas Garden, and I'll probably leave it up year round. So that's why I still haven't put our initials, because like I said, I don't know what I'm going to put on the bottom. I might still just put our initials. There's 5 spaces for initials. There's 5 people, my husband and our 3 kids. So that's what I got done. And this is it right here. So not too bad. All right, next up, City of Romance / City of Love by Stitchrovia. I pulled this out and I got the bottom 2 pages. So it's divided in half, and then it's divided in like this, and then like a third, the bottom third, and then the 2/3 is, there's 2 pages. So I finished these bottom 2 pages, which was just about a third of the whole design. So I got it done. That was my goal yesterday when I sat down to stitch it, was to finish those bottom 2 pages. And I even worked my way up into some of the top pages. And that is it. And this is on 14 count Ada that I dyed using Dynaflow dyes in a purple color. It called for a lavender. So that is it right there. So I went across and I was able to fit the whole thing going across. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this right here and just work my way up. Make sure make sure I have enough. I stitch odd in the fact that when I stitch, I start on the lower. Okay, when I'm looking at it, it's the lower right hand corner, and I work my way across. I stitch right to left. I know a lot of people stitch upper left, and I can't. I use a sewing method, and I guess because, you know, during English paper piecing and doing hand quilting, I would stitch, you know, right to left. And so that's just how I stitch easier. I stitch in hand using sewing, and so it's just easier for me to stitch that way. So I do start in the lower right hand corner, which is I did with Christmas Garden until I realized I had the fabric oriented wrong and I had to switch it. But anyway, so this is, yay, this is City of Romance, and it is so pretty. I'm hoping to get it done this year. Anyway, lovely, lovely stitch. And that's it. That's all I've stitched. I do have some haul. And then, which is very, very minor. You'll remember me talking about my color and cotton order. And it did go from Missouri to Massachusetts, back to, and down here to Louisiana. So it kind of took a little trip, and it was a very dirty package when it got here. I'm looking for something white to put it on. Very dirty package when it got here, and everything inside was packaged beautifully. The fabric was in great shape. So I don't have anything white near me. Oh well. This is called Over the Moon, and it's coming out good. It's actually a blue gray. Very, very pretty color. Not sure what I'm going to put on it, but I'm going to talk about those plans a little bit. So probably something like that. This is Swiss Coffee. It reminds me a lot. It's a little bit creamier than the mushroom. Again, it's a very pretty color. Good neutral. And I don't know why I got this, but I got Petunia. It's pink. This would have looked absolutely fabulous with the Eliza M. Stone by Wildstyle Snaps. This would have looked really, really good. I really like this pink. It's the camera's showing it pretty good. It's a really, really pretty pink. So that's what I got. And then my husband and I went for a drive, and I said, hey, since we're out for a drive, would you drive me downtown? So he brought me to my creative reuse store, and they had something there last time I went. I didn't get it, and I'm probably going to go back because they had actually 2 of them. And I want to look at the other one and see if it's still there. And if it is, I'll probably get it. Anyway, it had a ball of yarn, and it had one of these. Have y'all seen these? These are the little, they make the, Usher brought it with me, and they had a piece that they had made. It makes the I-cord. You know, I watched the, YouTube has the video, I might try to link it below, of the original VHS instructions, and oh my goodness, that lady's clothes. Y'all, her clothes, I could not believe it. Anyway, she had I-cord and she had feathers. It was absolutely so early 90s. Anyway, so I got one of these because inside the bag was $5. It came with this and a bunch of weird attachments that I have not found out what they're used for in using this yet. It came with this, a thing of yarn and an I-cord that somebody had made, and it came with this. So this is the Chord Maker by Krynick. Yes. And this is the one, if you watch Ivana Pfeiffer, she shows how to make your own cording. This is what she uses. And I think they're like $12 on eBay. So not too shabby. Anyway, so my plans. My plans are to this year. I don't know if you've been with me since the beginning, you'll know that I used to do small things on the weekends. The weekends were small things. Usually they were freebies. I would work on, you know, something that I could finish in the weekend. Well, if you have not seen Atlanta Stitcher, now Atlanta Stitcher has a YouTube channel, but she's got one video and it's of her Christmas tree. And it is absolutely stunning. It's probably a good 20-foot tree. And it is covered with Christmas ornaments that she stitched. So I showed it to my husband. I said, look at this tree. And he said, are those all cross-stitched? And I said, yes. He goes, well, now you have a goal. Oh yeah, challenge accepted. So my goal is to stitch some ornaments. And like you'll remember, I bought I'm looking over here, the Prairie Schooler Santas that I swore up and down I never stitch. So I'm stitching all of the ones that have to do with quilting or some kind of needlework. So I'm going to stitch those. And then I went on Readly and I went to all the ornament issues and all the December issues of every cross-stitch magazine that's on there. And if you're not on Readly, I have a link below. If you want to go ahead and click it, you'll get a free month. And so will I if you click my link. But anyway, so I went on there and I just chose a bunch of ornaments that I liked. Most of them have to do with, they're very Christian based. So they have to do with the nativity or joy to the world. I do have a couple of Santas. I don't like gnomes. It seems for a while everybody had a gnome. No gnomes. So anyway, so I have a bunch of those. So I'm going to try to stitch some of those this year. I don't think I will. I mean, I'm sure this lady's tree, I'm sure it took her years to do. So that is my goal, is to stitch some ornaments this year. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to fit that in, because right now, weekends are dedicated to Blackbird design. I do every weekend I work on one Blackbird design that I'm working on. And I do have some larger pieces that I want to finish. And I do have one full coverage that I want to do. So I'm not quite sure how, we do a lot of road trips. We take a lot of road trips. And they're one-day trips. You know, he'll say, hey, let's go for a drive or something to that effect. And I can bring some stitching there. And if it's a longish trip, then, you know, if we have a destination, I should say, if we have a destination, then I will stitch. If we don't have a destination and we're just driving just to drive, I won't stitch. So anyway, so I'm trying to figure out how to fit these ornaments in there. I know that there's the orny sows and, you know, different things like that. So I'll probably at least try to get one done a month. I also work on the 12 Days of Christmas. So I decided to incorporate some of those, and Just Cross Stitch, their new January issue, is having a stitch along that includes some 12 Days of Christmas. And if I think about it, I'll put some pictures at the end of this video so you can see that. So I don't know. But I want to incorporate ornaments, but I like to give each big piece 2 days. Usually I like to give it 2 days, which is why Blackbird has the weekends. And then I rotate everything else. So anyway, how do you, if you stitch ornaments, how do you incorporate those? Do you even have a rotation? I don't really have an official rotation. I just have, you know, stitched on this for 2 days. Let me pull something new. But like stitch City of Romance, I just stitched on that 1 day because I had a goal and I met it, and so I put it up. Home Sweet Home stitch along that I'm doing, you know, I kind of have a goal of when I want to have that finished. And the same with the Erica Michaels ABC blocks. So anyway, so that's my plan, is to stitch some ornaments this year. Not sure when, not sure how, but that's my plan. So that's all I have today, and I will start again tomorrow doing a short. Again, if you're not subscribed, think about subscribing. It not only helps my channel grow, but it also gets the word out about how wonderful cross stitch is and how relaxing it is. My son had a friend over and she was like, oh, I was stitching on something. She was like, oh, that looks so relaxing. I'm like, it is. You should try it. So anyway, I will see you guys tomorrow with another short showing you what I'm stitching. And I hope you all have a blessed day, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.